Welcome to another segment of ACRP TV. Today, our spotlight is on Is Your Site Ready for the Future? We've got a futurist, if you will, with us today, Christian Burns, CEO of ClinEdge. Christian, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael, for having me.
All right, let's jump right in. We've got this provocative question. I know you want to talk about certain pain points and way we're doing things correctly, way we may not be doing things correctly, and how some people are catching on to the future, if you will, a little quicker than some others. But talk about when you're saying, is your site ready for the future? What are you talking about?
Our site's ready for the future. We work with a lot of different site business models, and each business model has an opportunity to deliver, I think, on what I'm going to call personalized trials. Personalized trials would be virtual, it would be decentralized, it would be hybrid. You know, obviously there's a couple different names in studies today, but across the board, we've seen sites adapt because of the pandemic at a level that I don't think any of us have ever seen previously in how to implement home health, telemedicine, more systems to operate their business. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I think hopefully what we can talk about here is I believe sites are in an amazing position to leverage their current mission, vision, and business model, regardless of the type of site that you are, around your relationships, your patient database, and your experienced research team to really execute on delivering, new operating models, specifically within the community.
Now, you said personalized trials a minute ago, and we're talking about hybrid, decentralized, and something I've observed is not unique to me, but one of the things I think we're struggling with in this time of transition is an agreement on terms and definitions and technologies. I wonder if, for the sake of this discussion, if you could kind of clarify what you're talking about when you're saying decentralized trials versus hybrid trials versus personalized trials. And maybe there's less of a distinction, but I think we have to be careful, everyone, how we use these terms, because it can be kind of confusing, at least for me. I'll speak for myself.
I think that there are different meetings. I'm seeing and have been seeing, I think, at conferences. I think we've seen a harder marketing push from a lot of the different solutions that are out there, of course, and how they're providing a technology or perhaps services to serve these key stakeholders, which are sites would be one of those key stakeholders. So to kind of answer the question, I say personalized because I think as an industry, it's not all technology that at least at our organization, most of our experience is really indicating that everything is going to be virtual over the next 10 years. When you think of cancer, rare diseases, and psychiatry, some pretty complex diseases and indications. But what we do see is a balance more towards the trial customized to the patient. And it all comes down to a personalized trial. And so when you think of a personalized trial, I believe that would include your decentralization when you think of systems that are playing a role, or perhaps a patient going less into a brick and mortar kind of site organization of the traditional site delivery model.
All right, so last question before I let you go. We've heard a lot about the so-called COVID catalyst, and you alluded to it earlier, how COVID really sped up adoption of technologies. People were open to changing best practices. It made sense because it was almost like life during wartime. I mean, it continues to be to some degree a special situation. Do you see us as an industry reverting back to form, or do you think most of these new technologies are here to stay in terms of acceptance and usage?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of what I indicated earlier. The good that's come out of COVID is, the people that I think would have slowed adoption in our industry, or the naysayers, as most would call it, with change. We were all forced, clinical trials and every industry, to adapt quickly. And I had read something actually somewhat recently that the 30% of trials that are decentralized right now, we're going to kind of see that fall somewhere between 10 and 15%. over the next 12 months or so, which, I think it has some accuracy to it. But ultimately, I think that around the personalized trial, if we continue to think about how the patient will, be needed to deliver a clinical trial, there certainly is more of a balance of, home site and technology that can help streamline operational delivery, or perhaps provide more convenience to patients and physicians. So I've spent most of my career really supporting, bridging gaps between physicians and patients. And, I think post-COVID, we see systems that enable us to improve in a lot of the delivery, a lot of the communication, and certainly, create touch points, which enables us to track how we're doing in delivering a trial to a patient, or how we're communicating if the patient is at home or we're going to their house to actually do some sort of study assessment. So in answering the question a little bit long-winded, I think that the technology is definitely here to stay. I think that we have to hope as an industry, though, we don't just have more technology kind of dumped in and they're not connecting the ecosystem ultimately around the patient. Because I think what we don't need when you think of both the patient and the physician and the rest of the staff at the site, they don't need just another technology. They have plenty of technologies, but to connect them all better to the trial, I believe is key. So I think sites, as they're thinking about, taking on a new technology for their business, not the trial, for their business, try to seek technologies where you're integrating it from more than one problem or more than one gap to streamline your operations. And I believe that helps get towards our answer. And also think that sites, as we move forward in the future, may have a little bit more buying power, so to speak, when you think about them driving the adoption of their technologies to be used in a trial.
Fantastic. Well, see, also, this is a good reminder that really ultimately it's about the patient. It's easy to forget that sometimes, but that's the central bottom line. This has been our ACRP TV Spotlight on Is Your Site Ready for the Future? We've been speaking with Christian Burns, CEO of ClinEdge. Christian, thank you again so much for joining us today.
Thanks as well. Hopefully we get to see you in person here soon.
Absolutely.